Welcome to the Sleepy Christian, a space for quiet reflection, peaceful thoughts, and spiritual rest. As we drift gently into the heart of faith tonight, I invite you to pause and breathe. In a world full of noise, sometimes a single sentence, spoken over 2,000 years ago, can still settle the soul. Jesus didn't speak to impress. He spoke to awaken the spirit. And tonight, we're going to reflect on one sentence he spoke that still echoes across time and touches hearts in the quiet of night. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where in the world are you watching from? Whether you're in a small town or a big city, alone or with loved ones, you are welcome here. Now let us begin. In a world full of speeches, sermons, and shouting voices, it is easy to forget that the most powerful truths often come in whispers, words that don't force their way into the heart, but gently knock, quietly, patiently, waiting for us to open the door. And perhaps no whisper has ever echoed more deeply across the corridors of time than the words of Jesus. He didn't come with armies. He didn't write books. He didn't build monuments or establish institutions with his own hands. He came with words, gentle words, truthful words, eternal words. And in the quiet hills of Galilee, by the waters of the Jordan, on dusty roads and in crowded homes, Jesus spoke to people like you and me, people with worries, people who felt unseen, people who carried their burdens in silence. And among all the words he spoke, there was one sentence that continues to ripple through the centuries, touching hearts, stirring souls, and awakening those who have fallen asleep in spirit. What's astonishing is not how dramatic the sentence was, but how soft. It didn't come wrapped in thunder or fire. It wasn't shouted from mountaintops or written in the sky. It was spoken plainly, gently, and with love. And yet, somehow, it has more power than any worldly proclamation, because that's the nature of divine truth. It doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need to overwhelm. It simply is. It moves not by force, but by resonance. Like a note struck perfectly in tune, it causes something within us to vibrate, to remember, to recognize something we didn't even know we had forgotten. The sentence Jesus spoke wasn't meant for scholars or saints alone. It wasn't a coded mystery to be unlocked only by the wise. It was for the weary, for the restless, for those who had tried everything else, for those who, even in their faith, had grown tired. And isn't that all of us, at some point? The noise of life numbs us, the expectations, the failures, the constant striving. These things put our souls to sleep. We go through the motions, say the right words, nod at the right times. We wear the label of Christian, but sometimes forget the heart of Christ. And so, when Jesus speaks, especially through this sentence, it's like a gentle tap on the shoulder of your spirit. It says, wake up, not to do more, not to work harder, but to come to me. This sentence doesn't demand. It invites. It doesn't condemn. It welcomes. It doesn't accuse. It embraces. It is the kind of sentence that stays with you, not just because it's beautiful, but because deep down, you know it's true. You feel its truth, not with your intellect, but with your soul. It's the kind of sentence you remember in the middle of the night when anxiety knocks on your door. It's the kind of sentence you cling to in the hospital room, in the quiet after a heartbreak, or in the moments of doubt when you're not sure where God is anymore. And here's what's even more miraculous. This one sentence was not only spoken to those standing before Jesus centuries ago, it was spoken to you too. It crosses time. It moves beyond culture and language and place. It speaks in the language of the soul. It knows your name. It sees your exhaustion. It hears the silent questions you never say out loud. And even now, right now, it echoes. It echoes in the quiet places, in the tired places, in the "I'm not sure I can keep going" places. And every time you hear it, every time you remember it, it offers the same invitation: to come, not to a religion, not to a rule book, but to a person, to Jesus, to rest, to peace, to love. And maybe, just maybe, that's why it still echoes today. Not because it's loud, but because it's real. Not because it was shouted, but because it was whispered in truth. A whisper that never stopped traveling. A whisper that is waiting for you to hear it now. So let your heart be still. Let your soul lean in. The sentence is coming. Can you hear it? It's almost like a lullaby, a call home. And it begins with just one word: come. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. There it is. The sentence, simple, short, but filled with eternal weight. It is not a command shouted from a throne. It is a tender invitation, spoken by someone who knows exactly how heavy your heart can become. These words, spoken by Jesus, are not just religious poetry. They are not vague promises or motivational phrases. They are real, they are alive, and they are for you. Let those words linger in your heart for a moment. Come to me, not to a system, not to a set of rules, not even to a specific place, but to me. That is where rest begins, not in escaping life, but in meeting the one who gives life meaning. Jesus doesn't start with judgment. He starts with welcome. He doesn't say, "Fix yourself, then come." He doesn't say, "Only the strong may enter." He simply says, "Come." He knows your exhaustion. He knows how tired your soul has become. The kind of tired that doesn't go away with a nap or a weekend off. The tired that comes from pretending to be okay when you're not. From trying to hold it all together. From smiling when your heart is breaking. From carrying the weight of your past, your failures, your doubts. And that's why he adds, all you who are weary and burdened. You don't have to pretend here. You don't have to act strong. In fact, this invitation is specifically for the ones who feel weak. You see, Jesus wasn't speaking to the powerful. He wasn't surrounded by kings or scholars. He was speaking to fishermen, to farmers, to mothers carrying their children, to the lonely, to the forgotten, to people who lived ordinary lives, full of hidden pain. He was speaking to us. Because spiritual weariness is not new. It has always been part of the human experience. But most people try to solve it by running faster, achieving more, distracting themselves with entertainment, or numbing their pain with things that never last. But Jesus says, "Come to me." He doesn't promise instant success. He doesn't say life will become easy. What he offers is deeper than ease. He offers rest, and not just physical rest, not just relief from work, but rest for your soul, rest from anxiety, rest from guilt, rest from the pressure to be perfect, rest from trying to prove your worth. Have you ever noticed that the more we try to carry alone, the heavier it becomes? Jesus knows this. That's why he speaks directly to those who are burdened, the ones carrying invisible weights on their shoulders, the ones who cry when no one is watching, the ones who feel like they're not enough, no matter how hard they try. To them, to us, he says, "I will give you rest." Not rest that fades, not temporary comfort, but a deep, renewing rest that reaches into the soul and says, "You are safe here, you are seen, you are loved." And this kind of rest, true rest, only comes when we stop running, when we stop pretending, when we finally accept the invitation and draw near to him. It doesn't matter how long you've been away. It doesn't matter how many doubts you carry or how messy your past may be. The invitation has no expiration date. Come to me. It's always there, waiting, ready, whispered by the one who never grows tired of loving you. So, if you feel lost, come. If you feel forgotten, come. If you feel tired, ashamed, guilty, afraid, come. There are no hoops to jump through. There is no test to pass. There is only this quiet moment and a gentle voice still echoing through time, calling you by name. Come, let your guard down. Let the tears fall if they must. Let your soul rest, not because the world is fixed, but because you are finally home. In his arms, your burdens become lighter, your fears grow smaller, your soul remembers what it's like to be held by something greater than itself. And it all begins with one step, one whisper, one answer to that eternal invitation. Yes, Lord, I am coming. Rest. A word so small, so soft, yet so desperately longed for. We chase it. We plan vacations, turn off our phones, lie in bed at night, hoping sleep will bring it. But real rest, the kind that reaches past the skin, through the bones, into the very center of who we are, is rare. And yet Jesus said, I will give you rest. Not I might. Not, you'll find it if you try hard enough. But I will. This promise comes from the one who never breaks his word, the one who speaks not just to the ears but directly to the soul. And the rest he offers is unlike any we've known in the world. We often think of rest as doing nothing, as stopping. But the rest Jesus speaks of is not about inactivity. It's about alignment. It's not about escaping life, but about being anchored in the midst of it. True rest isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of peace. His peace, even when the storm is still raging. Think of a tree beside a river. Its roots reach deep into the ground, drinking water no matter the weather above. The wind may howl, the sun may scorch, but the tree stands, not because life is easy, but because it is rooted in something deeper. That is the rest Jesus offers, a spiritual grounding that holds you up, even when everything else seems to fall apart. We live in an age of restlessness. We're always moving, always scrolling, always worrying. Our minds race from one task to the next. Even when we stop, we don't really rest. We just pause. And then the noise returns. The pressure returns. The loneliness, the comparison, the unspoken grief. It all returns. But the rest of Jesus isn't like that. His rest doesn't depend on a perfect schedule or a quiet environment. It doesn't depend on your performance or your productivity. It is a gift, and like all gifts, it must be received. That means letting go. Letting go of the need to control everything. Letting go of the guilt you carry from the past. Letting go of the fear that whispers, "You're not enough." Jesus doesn't ask you to earn this rest. He simply asks you to come, to trust, to lay down what you were never meant to carry alone. You may be wondering, what does it feel like, this rest for the soul? It feels like a deep exhale after holding your breath for too long. It feels like being seen and loved, even in your most broken state. It feels like waking up from a long sleep and realizing the nightmare is over. It feels like stillness, not the kind that comes from silence alone, but the kind that comes when your soul finally remembers who holds it. Because the truth is, the human soul was never meant to find rest in achievement, applause, or answers. It was made to rest in a person, in Jesus, the one who calms storms with a word, the one who weeps with the brokenhearted, the one who gave up his own rest so you could find yours. When he says, "I will give you rest," he's not offering a temporary escape. He's offering himself. He is the rest. He is the peace. He is the stillness in the chaos, the quiet voice in the whirlwind, the shelter in the storm. So even now, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, take a moment. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and hear those words again, not as a distant memory, but as a living promise. Come to me, and I will give you rest. Let them wrap around your tired soul like a warm blanket on a cold night. Let them settle into the corners of your heart that have been aching for relief. Let them remind you that you are not alone. You don't have to carry it all. You were never meant to. He is here, and He is rest. There's a quiet heaviness we all carry, not always on the outside, not always where others can see, but deep inside, where no one looks. Many of us are carrying something far too heavy to bear alone. The Bible calls it a burden, and Jesus, in His deep kindness, doesn't ignore it. He doesn't downplay it or shame us for it. He speaks directly to it. Come to me, He says, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. A yoke, an image from the ancient world, not something most of us think about today, but to the people Jesus spoke to, a yoke was something familiar. It was the wooden frame placed across the shoulders of two oxen, binding them together so they could pull a heavy load in unison. Alone, the burden was crushing. Together, it became manageable. And so, when Jesus says, "Take my yoke upon you," He isn't offering to make your life burden-free. He's offering to carry it with you. Let that sink in for a moment. He's not promising to take away every hardship, every sorrow, every unanswered question, but He's promising that you will never again carry them alone. There's a difference between carrying something and being crushed by it. The difference is who's beside you. Jesus doesn't hand you a lighter yoke and then walk away. He steps into the harness with you, shoulder to shoulder, step by step, heart to heart. And here's what's so gentle, so radical about His offer. He doesn't say, "Take up a yoke," as if you're just trading one burden for another. He says, "Take my yoke," because His burden is not like the world's. The world demands more. Do more. Prove yourself. Try harder. Climb higher. But Jesus says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." His way is not built on pressure, it's built on grace. With Him, you don't walk in fear of failing. You walk in the freedom of being held. Because His yoke fits perfectly. It doesn't bruise the soul. It doesn't chafe the heart. It doesn't ask for more than you have. Instead, it gives. It gives comfort. It gives direction. It gives strength in the moments you feel like giving up. And it gives presence. His presence. That's what makes the burden light. Not because it's small, but because He's strong. He carries the weight. He holds the balance. He walks in step with you. Sometimes, though, we resist the yoke. We want to do it all ourselves. We've been told that strength means independence, that asking for help is weakness. But Jesus redefines strength. He shows us that true strength is found in surrender. Not giving up, but giving over. Releasing control and saying, "Lord, I can't do this alone. Walk with me." And here's something else. The yoke isn't just about surviving hardship. It's about walking in rhythm with the One who made you. When two animals are yoked together, they must move in harmony, not rushing ahead, not dragging behind, but walking side by side. This is what Jesus invites you into, a life of rhythm, of grace, of steady, sacred movement. Not burned out, not overwhelmed, but in tune with Him, in sync with His love, paced by His peace. So whatever burden you've been carrying, whether it's fear, shame, grief, regret, uncertainty, you don't have to carry it alone anymore. Lay it at His feet. Let Him slip the yoke over your shoulders, not to weigh you down, but to lift you up. Let him guide your steps. Let him do the heavy lifting. Let him remind you again and again that you were never meant to walk alone. The weight is real, but so is the one who walks with you. And in that holy partnership, in that sacred yoke, you'll find something the world could never offer. Not just survival, but rest. We live in a world that rewards the loudest voice. The one who speaks the most gets the attention. The one who moves the fastest wins the race. The one who dominates the room is labeled strong. And yet, when God came to us in the form of Jesus, he chose a different way. He didn't shout to be heard. He didn't raise his voice above the crowd. He didn't force himself into power. Instead, he whispered. In the chaos of Rome, in the noise of religion, in the pride of empires, Jesus walked softly. He didn't need to make a scene because truth speaks for itself, and love doesn't demand attention, it draws it. There is something about gentleness that disarms us, something about softness that slips past the walls we build, something about a quiet voice that somehow feels louder in the heart than all the shouting in the world. Jesus' voice was like that. It wasn't harsh, it wasn't hurried, it didn't manipulate or push. It invited, it waited, it healed. And in a loud world, a world full of notifications, headlines, arguments, and pressure, his gentle voice is still speaking, still calling, still reaching for the ones who long for something deeper than noise. But the world makes it hard to hear. We fill our days with sound, music, podcasts, social media, endless news cycles. Even our quiet moments are often loud on the inside. Worry, comparison, shame, to-do lists, regrets. They all crowd our thoughts like restless guests we never invited in. And so we wonder why we feel far from God. But maybe it's not that God is far away. Maybe it's just that we haven't made enough silence to hear him. Because God often speaks in whispers, not because he's hiding, but because he's close. Whispers don't work from a distance. You have to lean in to hear them. That's how close he is. He doesn't have to shout to get your attention. He's right beside you, right now, in this very moment. And if you'll pause, if you'll quiet your heart, you may hear it. Not a thunderclap, not a booming command, but something softer, gentler, deeper, a whisper that says, I see you. I love you. You're not alone. I haven't forgotten you. I've been here the whole time. That's how Jesus speaks. Not like the world, but like the one who made you and knows your heart better than you do. He knows how words can wound, so he speaks to heal. He knows how shame can harden us, so he speaks to soften. He knows how fear can paralyze, so he speaks to calm. And he knows how tired you are, how heavy your soul has become. So he speaks not to demand more from you, but to invite you to rest. In his gentleness, there is power. The power to stop the storm with a single word. The power to cast out fear. The power to raise the dead, not just in body, but in spirit. He doesn't need to be loud to be strong. He doesn't need to be forceful to be faithful. He just speaks in love. And maybe that's the miracle, that the God of the universe, who could roar like thunder, chooses instead to whisper your name. Because his goal is not to overwhelm you, it's to draw you near. So let the world be loud, let it rush and rage and shout, but let you be still. Let your soul lean in. Let your heart become quiet enough to hear the voice of the one who speaks in peace. Because his whisper still echoes, and when you hear it, it changes everything. There's a kind of sleep that doesn't close your eyes. It closes your spirit. It's not the sleep that refreshes you. It's the kind that dulls you slowly, quietly, until one day you realize you're just going through the motions. You still pray, but the words feel hollow. You still attend church, but your heart feels distant. You still speak of faith, but something inside has fallen silent. This is the sleep of the soul. And many Christians, perhaps more than we think, have quietly drifted into it. Not because they are rebellious, not because they are bad people, but because life is heavy and it is easy to grow tired. This is what it means to be a sleepy Christian. Not lazy, not faithless, just worn out, numbed by routine, disheartened by disappointment, overwhelmed by a world that never stops spinning. And the danger of this sleep is not that it feels wrong, it's that it feels normal. We mistake stillness for peace, when in truth, it's just stagnation. We confuse comfort with closeness to God, when in reality, it's spiritual apathy hiding behind convenience. Slowly, quietly, our faith becomes something we remember rather than something we live. We stop asking the deep questions. We stop feeling awe. We stop expecting God to move because we've grown too tired to hope. And yet, even in this quiet slumber, Jesus doesn't turn away. He doesn't grow impatient. He doesn't give up. Instead, he does what he's always done. He calls. Not with condemnation, not with frustration, but with that same gentle voice. Wake up, beloved, I'm still here. The truth is, even when our faith grows sleepy, his love remains wide awake. Even when we forget to seek him, he never stops seeking us. And perhaps the very fact that you're listening now, here in this quiet space, is no accident. Maybe his whisper has reached you right here in the stillness. Because Jesus didn't come only for the lost. He came for the drowsy too. For the ones who've known him but drifted. For the ones who remember what it was like to feel his presence and long to feel it again. But here's the grace. Waking up doesn't require you to shake the heavens. You don't have to manufacture emotion. You don't have to stir yourself with guilt or pressure. You just have to respond. One moment of honesty, one prayer, even if whispered through tears or fatigue. Jesus, I've grown tired, but I want to wake up again. And he hears it. He always hears it. Because the sleepy soul is not lifeless. It's just waiting to be touched. Waiting for the warmth of his nearness. Waiting for the breath of the Spirit to stir it back to life. There is no shame in being weary. Even the disciples fell asleep in the garden. Even the strongest grow faint. But there is always hope in the one who never slumbers. He can reignite what has grown cold. He can breathe life into dry bones. He can wake you up, not with noise but with love. So if your heart has felt numb, if your prayers have grown quiet, if your days have started to blur, know this: you are not alone. And you are not beyond revival. The Spirit of God is not waiting for you to fix yourself. He's waiting to meet you as you are. Right now, even here. So let this be your moment. Not dramatic, not loud, just real. A soft turning of the heart. A quiet opening of the soul. A simple yes. Wake me up, Lord. I want to feel you again. And he will, because he always does. Fear has a way of creeping in unnoticed. It doesn't always show up with sirens or sudden panic. Sometimes, it enters like a whisper in the back of your mind. A thought you didn't ask for, a hesitation you can't explain, a question that lingers too long. What if I'm not enough? What if I fail? What if God isn't really with me? Fear thrives in silence and shadows. It wraps around the heart, slowly dimming our trust, slowly dulling our faith, until we begin to doubt not just God, but ourselves. Until we stop dreaming, stop reaching, stop praying with expectation. And when fear settles in long enough, it invites its close companion, doubt. Doubt is not always loud either. It can be subtle, reasonable. It disguises itself as realism, as caution, as wisdom. But behind it, there's often a wound, a moment when things didn't turn out the way we hoped, a prayer that went unanswered, a door that never opened, a loss we never fully understood. And so, without even realizing it, we begin to live small.
We still believe in God, but we stop expecting Him to move.
We still say the right things, but our hearts grow timid. Our faith becomes more about maintenance than miracles. But Jesus never called us to a life controlled by fear. He never invited us to live cautiously. He invited us to live freely, to walk boldly, to love without fear of being hurt again, to hope without fear of being disappointed, to believe without fear of being wrong. And so He calls us, gently but clearly, to wake up. Not with shame, not with scolding, but with tenderness. He says, "Do not be afraid. Take heart. It is I am with you."
Over and over in the Gospels, He speaks these words, not to the fearless, but to the fearful,
To the disciples in the storm, to the woman trembling in the crowd,
to the man whose daughter had just died,
to the ones who doubted, even while standing in front of the resurrected Christ. He didn't turn away from their fear. He walked straight into it with them. He didn't demand perfection. He offered presence. And that's what He still offers today. You don't need to conquer fear before you come to Him. You don't need to have unshakable faith. You just need enough courage to say, "Lord, I'm afraid, but I want to trust you anyway." That small act, that tiny flicker of faith, is all He needs. Because fear doesn't vanish by force. It fades in the presence of love. And His perfect love casts out fear. Not because He fixes everything instantly, but because He reminds you you're not alone. When you walk with Him, fear begins to lose its grip. When you rest in Him, doubt begins to lose its voice. And when you open your heart, even just a little, He begins to breathe courage back into your bones. The kind of courage that doesn't roar, but stands quietly. The kind of courage that doesn't shout, but holds steady. The kind of courage that says, "I don't have all the answers, but I have Him." You don't have to wait until you're fearless to live with faith. You just have to decide that fear will no longer be the one writing your story. Let Jesus write it instead. Let Him lead you step by step into a new kind of freedom. One where you can breathe again, pray again, dream again, hope again. Because when He wakes you up, He doesn't just pull you from sleep. He pulls you from fear. He shows you that you were made for more than survival. You were made to walk in light, in love, in peace. And tonight, as you rest, know this. Even if you feel small, even if you still feel unsure, even if fear still lingers around the edges of your mind, you are not alone in it. He is with you, and He's not afraid of your fear. He walks with you into it and gently leads you out. Sometimes we wander without realizing it, not in our bodies, but in our hearts. We don't stop loving God. We don't stop believing in Him, but slowly, gently, we drift. A few days without prayer, a few choices made out of fear instead of faith, a few more burdens carried without asking for help. And one day, we wake up and feel far from Him. Not because He left, but because we stopped turning toward Him. It's a quiet kind of drifting, not dramatic, not rebellious, just tired, distracted, busy. And when we finally pause and realize how far we feel, we often ask, can I come back? Will He still want me? After everything, would He really take me in? The answer, again and again, is yes. Not just yes in theory, yes in grace, yes in mercy, yes in love. Jesus never turns away the one who returns. In fact, Returning to him isn't a shameful crawl back to where we started. It's a beautiful reawakening. It's coming back to the source, the shepherd, the one who never stopped watching the road, waiting for us to lift our eyes. It's like the story Jesus told about the prodigal son, a son who wandered far, who made mistakes, who felt unworthy. He rehearsed his apology on the road home, but before he could even speak, his father saw him from a distance, ran to him, embraced him, and celebrated him. That is the heart of God. You may feel like you've wasted time, like you've missed your moment, like the best version of your faith is behind you. But God doesn't see it that way. With him, every return is a new beginning. He doesn't hold your distance against you. He simply rejoices when you turn around. Because faith is not about perfection, it's about direction. And returning to him is as simple as a whisper. Lord, I miss you. I want to come home. You don't have to clean yourself up first. You don't have to earn your way back. You don't have to feel anything spectacular. You just have to say yes. And even if your yes is trembling, he will meet you with steady hands. Because this is what grace does. It catches you. It covers you. It walks with you. Not just when you're strong, but especially when you're weak. When you return, you're not met with disappointment. You're met with a table already set, a robe already prepared, a father already waiting. And in that moment, your wandering ends. The restlessness calms, the shame falls away, and your soul remembers what it means to be home. But maybe you're thinking, I've returned before, and I wandered again. What if I keep messing up? Then hear this truth. He knew you'd fall, and he chose you anyway. He's not surprised by your weakness. He's not tired of forgiving you. His mercy is not limited. His love does not wear out. This isn't a one-time invitation. It's daily, hourly, always. You can return to him 1,000 times, and the welcome will always be just as warm, just as sincere, just as real. Because Jesus didn't just come to call the righteous. He came to call the weary, the wandering, the broken. He came to call you, not to punish you, but to restore you. And when you return, something happens. Your heart softens, your eyes lift, your soul exhales, because you remember, you were never meant to walk alone. You were never meant to carry so much. You were never meant to wander forever. You were meant for him, and he has been waiting for you. So come back, not in shame, but in hope. Come back to prayer. Come back to worship. Come back to peace. No matter how far you've gone, the road home is never longer than one prayer. Jesus, I'm here. I'm ready. And he will meet you, not just halfway. He will run to you. We talk so much about God's love, and yet many of us secretly wonder if it's really for us. We hear the words in church, we read the verses, we sing the songs. But deep inside, there's often a quiet question. Could he really love me? Completely, unconditionally, even after everything? Because we know ourselves. We know the thoughts we hide, the things we regret, the moments we fail to show up, even for the people we love. We carry guilt. We carry stories. We carry a version of ourselves that we hope others never fully see. And sometimes we project that fear onto God. We imagine him loving the better version of us, the future us, the cleaned up us, the one who never falls. We imagine his love as cautious, distant, waiting for us to prove something before it draws near. But that is not the love of Jesus. His love doesn't arrive when we're finally good enough. It meets us in the middle of our mess. It kneels down in the dirt with us. It wraps its arms around our broken places and refuses to let go. This love does not flinch at failure. It doesn't step back when we confess our weakness. It doesn't pause when we doubt or hesitate when we fall. Jesus already knows the worst of us, and he chooses us still. That is the scandal of grace. It is not fair. It is not earned. It is not reserved for the few who get it right. It is wild. It is free. It is infinite. And it is for you. When Jesus said, "Come to me," he didn't add any conditions. He didn't say, "Come if you've prayed enough," or "Come if you've had a good week." He said, "Come, all who are weary and burdened." All. Not some. Not the worthy. Not the strong. All. And he didn't say, "I'll think about giving you rest." He said, "I will give you rest." Because his love doesn't hesitate. It pursues. It heals. It welcomes. He loved the tax collector before he paid anything back. He loved the woman caught in adultery before she said a word. He loved Peter even after Peter denied him. And he loves you, not in a vague, theological way, but in a personal, present, unconditional way, right now, as you are. Not as you wish you were, not as others see you, but you, the real you, the tired you, the hopeful you, the discouraged you, the longing you. And here's the truth. When you let that love in, it doesn't just comfort you, it changes you. Because real love, God's love, doesn't leave you where it found you. It lifts you. It restores you. It breathes new life into places that were cold and closed for too long. And yet, it does all of this without pressure. Jesus doesn't say, "Change and I'll love you." He says, "Let me love you and you'll be changed." The change doesn't come from striving, it comes from surrender. Not because you have to earn his favor, but because love transforms the one who truly receives it. When you finally stop trying to deserve it and just rest in it, you begin to heal, you begin to trust, you begin to remember who you are in him. And who are you? You are chosen, you are cherished, you are known, you are held. You are not a mistake. You are not too much, you are not too far gone. You are his. And nothing, no sin, no failure, no fear can separate you from that love. It is the truest thing about you. Let that truth sink in. You don't need to do anything to keep it. You don't need to perform. You just need to receive it. Close your eyes if you can. Breathe slowly. Let that divine love surround you like the gentle warmth of the morning sun. Let it wrap around your shame, your doubt, your exhaustion, and quiet them all. Let it hold you until the fear dissolves and the striving ends. You are already loved. You are already seen. You are already enough in the eyes of the one who made you. So come, beloved, not to prove, not to impress, just to rest. Let love do what only love can do. It's strange, isn't it? How a sentence spoken over 2,000 years ago can still echo today, still reach into the deepest parts of us, still calm our storms, still call us home. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. These were not empty words. They were not soft poetry for a soft moment. They were a declaration, a promise, a lifeline stretched across centuries. And somehow, miraculously, they still haven't stopped echoing. They ring out in hospital rooms, in quiet bedrooms after a long, hard day, in whispered prayers from people who aren't even sure they believe anymore, in tears that fall when no one's watching, in moments of awe and moments of collapse. They echo through every sleepless night, every moment of loneliness, every silent walk back to faith after drifting far. They echo because they were never meant to fade. They were never meant to be words we heard once and then moved on from. They were meant to live with us, to guide us, to shape our days, to give us a place to return again and again. And we need that place, because even when we're filled with faith, we still forget. Even when we're strong, we still grow tired. Even when we've walked closely with God, we still stumble. That's the beauty of the invitation Jesus gave. It never expires. It doesn't wear out or wear off. There's no cap on how many times we can come to him. He doesn't count the number of returns. He just rejoices in the fact that we come at all, every time we feel lost. Every time we feel like we're too far gone. Every time we feel numb, weary, afraid or ashamed, those words still wait for us. Come to me. That is the call that never ends, because God doesn't stop calling when we stop listening. He doesn't retreat when we grow distant. He stays, he whispers, he waits, and when we finally turn our face toward him again, we find that he's been closer than we ever imagined. That's the kind of love that changes us. Not a love that demands perfection, but a love that never runs out. A love that carries us when we're too tired to walk. A love that sees all of us, the anger, the confusion, the joy, the sorrow, and says, I still want you. So maybe you've come to him 100 times before, or maybe tonight is the first time in a long while. Either way, the invitation is the same. The voice is the same. The promise is the same. And his rest, his real, soul-deep, peace-filled rest, is still here for you, right now. You don't have to wait until morning. You don't have to earn it by doing more. You don't have to explain yourself. Just come. With your tired thoughts, with your aching heart, with your half-formed prayers, with your whispered hope. Come, because he is still calling, and he always will be, through every season, through every failure, through every moment of joy and every valley of sorrow. His voice still echoes. Come to me, and when you do, you will find what you've been searching for all along, not just rest, but him. And in him, everything changes. Let your heart be still now. Let those words wrap around you like a warm blanket. Let your soul exhale. He's still calling. And you're still welcome. You always will be.